Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. Hello, hello. Okay, so yay for unleashing the epically limitless you. I'm so excited to connect with all of you today and help you on this journey. And one of the things, as I was prepping for this, I was like, okay, one of the things I'd be thinking if I signed up for a virtual workshop like this is, what does this person even know about the topic that she's covering, right? And that's a totally fair question. So to give you a little bit of insights here, I'm going to share with you a little bit about where I used to be, so where I kind of lived in the confine of the world of limits, and then I'll share with you a little bit about where I am today in really truly stepping into and unleashing this epically limitless me. And this will also give you an idea of some of the truly epic rewards that are waiting for you as you take this journey to unleash the epically limitless you. So I'm going to share these with you. Start kind of thinking right to is after we go through these pieces, we'll jump into the workshop and the exercise. But I think it's really important to kind of frame the brain. Like, this whole exercise is really going to be about how do we learn to feed the brain. And so in sharing you where I was before and where I am now, what that's going to do is that's going to allow you to see for yourself kind of, okay, here's some of the areas that I'm living within limits, and here's some of the areas where I have opportunities to experience these same epic rewards, right? Okay, so let's just jump in. All right, so first we've got some lovely slides, right? This is the life of what things looked like before, when I was living in a world of limits, right? So this kind of starts to give you an idea of what limitations might look like or show up in your own world. And again, let's feed the brain here, right? The brain might be going like, so why are we looking at limits? I want to talk about the limitless me. And it's like, yes, we will absolutely get to that. That's what this whole entire journey is going to be about. We'll kind of cover different ways that you can do that. And first, let's really take a look at what some of the current limits might be. So just to give you an idea of some of my limits, right? So before I embarked on my journey to unleash the epically limitless me, I was immersed in a lot of addiction patterns and energetic patterns and tendencies. I was addicted to working. That's how I got my significance. I was addicted to cigarettes. I was addicted to alcohol. I was addicted to a lot of toxicity. My emotional home was anger. I didn't really have a lot of coping mechanisms. And so as a result of that, just my go-to autopilot response to pretty much everything was anger. And you'll see up on the top right here is we've got a bucket of yeses and a little thing that says no. And actually, I didn't ever say no, so that no wasn't even in my bucket. I never, ever said no, ever. It just was not a part of my vocabulary. And I was not anywhere to be found on my own priority list. I thought it would be incredibly selfish if I ever included myself on my own priority list. And I was a compulsive giver. I was give, and never received, never even opened myself to receive, didn't even realize I was doing it at the time. And then I was really, really indecisive. So one of the things that, like, even the room that I'm sitting in, it's this beautiful, like, Tiffany blue, vibrant color. And I remember painting it, and then I called my best friend and I asked her to come over to see if she liked it so that I could determine for myself if I liked it. And I'm not even joking you when I tell you that that if she didn't like it, I was prepared to color it a different color. So good thing that she liked it. So the color is still the same room. And then people who know me now, they're kind of like, I don't even believe that this happened, but this is true. Okay, so another example of just some of the epic limitations that I have on myself, right? So I kind of told you I was a chain smoker. I drank a lot. It was actually how I dealt with emotion, you know, my number one emotion being anger, and then I just drank a lot. My nutritional habits were pizza and mozzarella sticks and a lot of sitting on the couch hungover, eating crap. My daily routine was kind of just roll out of bed. Yep, that's it. So like I might have brushed my teeth, threw my hair in a ponytail and run out the door, but I didn't really have any morning rituals where I really honored my body and loved my body and kind of got glammed up and dolled up and for myself to really feel good. I just rolled out of bed and brushed my teeth for other people's benefit, not really my own. I had a lot of autoimmune disorders that I was misdiagnosed with that were actually, my body was inflaming. I mean, look at what I was doing mentally, emotionally, and physically to my body. And so it was showing up and being masked as autoimmune diseases. I had rheumatoid arthritis. I had sinusitis. I was told I should have the sinus cavity surgery to enlarge the sinus cavities. I was actually diagnosed towards the end of my limitations journey. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I was being treated for chronic fatigue. I drank a lot of coffee to keep myself going. And then at the end of the day, I was just, I was so burnt out. I worked probably 18 plus hours a day. I was so burnt out. I would just come home and I would numb and I would sit in front of a TV. Toxic men, that was kind of my jam. If you were a liar, a cheater, an addict, emotionally unavailable, geographically unavailable, you were my jam. You were my thing. You were my go-to. So a lot of self-sabotaging going on. And then there's, just that inner child, super, super bitter and angry. So then you kind of talk about like, okay, so what does a world of ethically limitless you look like, right? Like, what are some of the epic rewards I can expect from myself? And so to answer the question in the brain for that is, it really is about this. Pinch myself. I cannot believe this is my life. Like that is the feeling when you truly unleash epically limitless you. I mean, you just step into this realm where it's unbelievable what ends up happening. So just to give you a few examples from my own life, I'm dating an individual who I had a crush on for like 10 years, who's my absolute favorite soul of all time, who actually at the beginning of my journey, one of the questions I'll ask you today about being bold, one of my answers was to kind of throw myself out there with someone I actually had feelings for, someone who I actually liked, someone who I could actually fall in love with, someone who could actually hurt me, right? Because I always dated guys who I knew that, if you're an ass clown and I wasn't truly going to fall for you, or if you lived, 1,000 miles away, even if you were awesome, I mean, it wasn't able to truly connect with you. And so I was never going to get too close. And you could never really hurt me. So now it's like, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. Very much in love, very, very happy. This is my favorite soul I've ever encountered in my entire life. I'm constantly on different adventures and journeys. I travel around the world. I host retreats. I attend retreats so that I can learn and constantly grow myself. Whatever I want to do, I do it. I have a lot of fun. I'm constantly on new experiences. I go to places that feed my soul, like a beach. Physically, right? I mean, it's unbelievable the difference. I remember the majority of my life I yo-yoed, right? I went up and down, gaining weight, losing weight. And I just remember feeling I never felt sexy in my own skin. I actually remember when I was about 20. I looked about the same as I do now, but I never felt sexy or never felt comfortable in my own skin. And I remember always hiding or covering up. Like I remember going to the beach and constantly wearing a wrap, and I would wear that wrap and I would go to the edge of the pool and I would drop it and jump in, and then I would not get out of the pool without that safety blanket. And I just remember being like, gosh, I really wish I could be that woman who struts around the pool and really just is comfortable in her own skin. And I'm her today, and if you can see the screen, one of the pictures on the left is a picture of me in my office, and it was about 35 pounds heavier. I always distributed my weight well, so maybe you couldn't tell that it was the 35 pounds. It was 35 pounds heavier. I hadn't had a haircut in probably at least a year, and I spent more time in my office than I spent anywhere else ever. And I just just wasn't living. I wasn't alive. I was just working. And then, and I was always kind of stuck in the tomorrow, like, oh yeah, I'll take the vacation tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. I was definitely one of those people living for the 2 weeks vacation a year. Actually, for 4 years, I never even took a vacation without my laptop. And then, on the right, you can see a picture. It's kind of just effortlessly, the weight melts off. I'm completely comfortable in my own skin. Lots of self-love rituals that just naturally come as you start to really unleash this epically limitless you that we're going to talk about today. Cut off a little bit here, but basically, so what else happens? So anyone who's following the journey, you'll see that when you really step into, we're going to step into the journey today of unleashing your epically limitless self. And one of the things that you'll see is, right, so it's like, okay, so what, who cares? How can this person help me get, to my dream life? Is I just hit #1 Amazon bestselling author for the book Epic Sexy You, No Limits, No Rules. We did a pre-sales campaign. It sold out in 2 weeks and it shipped out to 14 countries. Right. So that's not like, oh, it's available in 54 countries or whatever. Like, it's available around the world, but it's in pre-sales, it shipped out to 14 countries. And we had ordered pre-sales thinking like, oh, this will last us a month or 2 months. And it sold out in 2 weeks. So, I mean, I've won a lot of awards for my intuitive, I call it thrive coaching, right? Really helping you figure out how to thrive and to specialize in just creating a life that you love living. So every day, all day, I spend my time immersed in things that I love doing and spending it with people that I love being around and environments that I really thrive in. And that is what I would like to help you get to today. So, okay. So we're going to jump right in to some, I call it a guided questionation. So it's kind of like a guided meditation, but with a twist. So I'm going to be asking you a series of questions. First, I'm going to prime you to get you in state to access answers from kind of this heart space place, kind of more of a feeling and dreaming. And so anyone who's like, oh, feeling and dreaming, right? Like, you probably need this workshop more than anyone else, because that means you probably don't allow yourself to go there, which we'll talk about later. And here's what I'm going to tell you. I will send you these questions after the call, along with the recording. So for my peeps who like to write all the answers down or write all the questions down and really capture this, or anyone who's on who is a coach who likes to help people expand for themselves, you're going to have all of this. I'll send all of this to you after. Even if I accidentally didn't hit record and so this isn't recording, I'll figure out how to get it recorded and I'll send it to you. I think it's recording, so we're all good. But I will get this to you. You will have the recording. Let me really help feed the brain here. You will not only have the recording, I will also send you a list of the questions that we go over. So you do not have to write down the questions. You will just be wasting your time. So let me help you help yourself. And I say this multiple times because repetition is what really helps feed the brain in a way that will help us unleash this epically limitless you. If you're starting to see a theme, I've said feed your brain like a million times. So, really start thinking and maybe just write that down, right? Feed my brain intentionally. This is really as you create this epically limitless life, it's really about being intentional. It's about living life on purpose, and it's about feeding the brain constantly. And or else the brain is kind of in charge and running the show. And so again, brain, we're going to dream space for a little while. We're going to go in there. I'm going to prime you. I'm going to bring you through some questions. What I want you to do is I just want you to capture what you see, feel, hear as your answers. Each person's different. Some people are auditory. Some people are a little bit more of visionaries. So in whatever way your answers come to you, that's how I want you to capture the information and really write it down, okay? So you're not writing down the questions, you're writing down the answers. You're writing down whatever you see, hear, feel in response to the question. So whatever is elicited from the question. And I just want you to focus on listening to the question and writing down whatever comes through for you. It's really important to capture these on paper, and it's going to be a critical component for the 30-day challenge that I'm going to share with you at the end of the call. So feeding the brain, we're listening, we are writing down, and we're capturing everything. So just real quick, right before we jump into some priming, if you don't already have a pen and paper, please take a second to grab that. I'll pause for a second. Go ahead and grab the pen and paper. Okay. So just let's take a second. Go ahead and put the pen and paper down for just a second. And I'm going to walk you through some priming to get us into this heart space, kind of more dream space flow. Again, if your brain is already giving you resistance, this is awesome that you're on this call today. Really, if you're like, what is this dream space? This is woo-woo, this is mumbo jumbo. It means you don't spend a lot of time there, which is going to be really hard if you don't allow yourself to even go into dream space ever. Then, you know, how are you ever going to create a life if you don't even know the direction? This is right now what we're going to do today. We're going to program the GPS to know the destination. If you don't know the destination, you'll never get there. So, and also, we are not focusing on the how. So I'll walk you through all of that. And all I mean is, while we're in dream space, we're not thinking of the how. When we come out of dream space, we can do some strategy on how, which we will. But right now, this is really just about, let's get some priming for some heart space. Okay. So, and here's my challenge to you is, if you are very brainy, cerebral, and your brain is kind of protesting right now, just listen, brain, we'll get back to you in a little bit, right? We're just going to take a little pause out of our day to go into heart space, and we're just going to play. And I would just challenge you to try it, right? Like, how do you know it's not going to work? It's unless you try it. So, and if you've tried it in the past, try it again. Okay. So let's take a second and just get really comfortable in your chair, wherever you're sitting, wherever you are. Oh, and by the way, if you're driving or if you're in transit and you don't have an opportunity to write it down, it's okay, still play along. Don't let that become an excuse, or rather a limit that's going to keep you from playing full out here. So just play as full out as you can in this moment. Okay. Enough about the brain. Okay, so let's just take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. One more deep breath in. Deep breath out. I want you to close your eyes and continue taking deep breaths in and out. Giving your brain a break and just kind of listening and following for now. Taking deep breaths in and deep breaths out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. As you're starting to relax your body and your mind, just again, remind the brain, we'll get back to you at the end and we'll answer your questions and we'll go to the how and the strategy. But for right now, we're just going to play. And we're going to explore. We're going to relax. We're going to allow ourselves and give ourselves permission for this short period of time in the day to hit pause and just dream. So with your eyes closed, as long as you're not driving, and as you're relaxing your body and taking deep breaths in and out, start to think of your favorite memories in life. Flood the mind with all of your favorite memories in life. So go back and just start collecting them. What are the times in life that just made you feel so loved? What are the times in life where you just laughed? Think of some of the favorite souls that habitate this planet with you. Think of them and think of some of your favorite memories that you've created and shared with them. And now just start thinking about what are the things that you're grateful for in life. Who are the people that you are grateful for in life? Think about the little things in life that we often don't even think about stopping and really appreciating. Things like a warm place to sleep at night. Some people don't have that. When you're hungry, you have food. When you're tired, you have a place to sleep that's warm and comfortable. You have clothes. Think about all of the things that you're grateful for. Allow your mind to be flooded with memories that make you laugh, that make you feel loved, and that make you feel grateful. Go ahead and take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. And then open your eyes and grab your pen. And I'm going to ask you a question. And just write down whatever comes to your mind right before that window opens, that the brain wants to chatter. I'm going to ask you a question. Just write down whatever comes up. Just write down the answers. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. If money and time were in endless abundance, and if there were zero limitations, if you had all of the resources and education and experience and intelligence and connections that you already needed at your full disposal, what would you do with your life? Write it down. If you've already gone through this exercise, do it again. New things always come up. Write it down. This is like that lottery question, right? You win the lottery. You can do whatever you want in life. How do you spend your time? here's something that some of you may be experiencing, and this is a piece of the journey in really identifying how to unleash just an epically limitless you and living a life that's beyond your wildest dreams. The brain has a tendency to count us out before we even allow ourselves to dream. So some of you may be experiencing that, right? Some of you may be thinking about how, like, oh, well, that would be great. Yeah, if I won the lottery, why are we wasting our time doing this? Blah, 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 blah. It's all that brain chatter, right? And so this is about giving yourself permission to dream. We're not saying this is going to happen. We're not asking if this is possible. We're not asking any questions of the brain. We're asking the heart and the soul, what do you want? What are you craving? What are you yearning for? If you could, and we're not saying anything that you can or can't, that's not what we're playing with here. Pay attention to how your mind sabotages you. We're feeding the brain a new question. So as the brain wants to interject, as the brain is coming in and maybe telling you why this isn't possible, or why this is mumbo jumbo, or why this is bullshit, or whatever, why bother? Why are we doing this? Stop and just allow yourself to dream. So I'm going to repeat the question. I'm going to give you a little bit more time. And again, I want you to catch what comes through right before that window opens, right before that window of mind chatter opens, right before that window of, yeah, but, and what is this about? And this is bullshit. And this is mumbo jumbo. Right before that starts telling you that this is ridiculous, right before that moment, capture what comes through the window. Forget about the how. We're focusing on the what. What do you want? This is the first step to unleashing the epically limitless you. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about giving yourself permission to just dream for a minute. So I'm going to ask you the question again. Write down whatever comes through. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. If money and time were in endless abundance, if you had zero limitations, if you had all of the resources, all of the education, all of the experience, all of the knowledge, all of the connections, you already knew the right people, it was the right time, you have money is in endless abundance, and so is time, what would you actually do with your life? If you had endless money from now until the day you die, for generations to come, if your brain says, yeah, but, just say, but what if we did? But what if I did? But what if I did? If you already knew the right people, if you already had the connections, if you already had every resource at your disposal that you need, you already had everything that you needed in order to, you had to worry about nothing other than, what do you want? How do you want to spend your time? How do you want to live? What comes up? You're going to notice a pattern of mind chatter limitations coming in. And one of the things is if you hear, I can't, or that's not possible, or whatever, right? But what if you could? And one of the things that I've noticed in a pattern over the course of the years and working with people unleash their epically limitless self is there's this block, this limit on believing that you truly can have it all. And so we're going to feed the brain new questions. So it's, but what if you could have it all? What if you could have it all? What might that look like? Every time it wants to take you down the path to deliver problems, focus on the solution. When it says, yeah, but ask, yeah, but what if I could? It's a power reframe. But what if you could? What might that look like? We're not even saying we're doing it. Just what might that look like? I would really challenge you to, as you play with this, and we're going to do a 30-day challenge where we really develop this dream space creation, the having it all, the yeah, but what if I could, the focusing on the solution instead of the problem. As we do that, really challenge you to, one, begin with a beginner's mind. Have a beginner's mind. If you've done this before and you have any sort of limiting beliefs, and the reason they're limiting beliefs is you're not where you want to be. If you were, you wouldn't be on the call, right? In fact, for someone who's already living an epically limitless life, I have so many more things to do and be and feel and experience, and until I die. That's why this was for calling all growth junkies and more horrors. This is about constantly growing to the day you die, and this is about always wanting more from a place of just knowing that you want to squeeze every morsel and ounce of goodie out of goodie and juice out of life that it has to offer. And so sometimes we need to go back to having a beginner's mind and going back and being like, okay, I'm going to master this dream space as if it was my craft. I'm going to learn how to expand it every single day, and I'll share with you how to do that in a second. So one of the things, just to start planting seeds to get you to start thinking, and again, I'll give you this recording so you can have this and you can listen to this again. One of the things is about listening to those yeah buts with no judgment of self and just having full-blown curiosity. The problem is we often believe our thoughts, right? And so what I challenge you is, what if you just observed them? What if you observed your thoughts instead of automatically assuming them to be true, right? So one yeah but I hear from a lot of people is, well, it's a fact. It's like, okay, so this limit is a fact, right? And it's like, it is, says who, right? Based on what? Have you really tried everything? Have you really? I'm challenging you to feed your brain with new questions that challenge yourself, right? One of the things that I help people do in coaching is I'm able to call bullshit on some of the limits, and I want to teach you how to call bullshit on your own limitations. How brilliant would that be? Like, well, I'm going to call bullshit on myself. And one of the ways to do that is to ask yourself new questions. But what if I could? What do you want? What do I want? What do I really want? If I could have anything, what would that look like? If I could have it all, what might that look like? What's the solution? Okay, you want to focus on the problem. What's the solution? What's the solution? What's the solution? You're feeding your brain. The idea here, and part of unleashing epically limitless you, is getting your brain and your heart to be partners in shine, right? Right now, what often happens, and this is where there's a disconnect between living a life of limitations and living a life where you're constantly breaking free from limitations, is in a world of limitations, you're believing the bullshit that your mind is telling you. Your mind is kind of on its own autopilot with ingrained neural pathways that it's built that actually hold you back. And so one of the things that I would challenge you to do is ask yourself new questions that will allow you to expand, to create new neural pathways that will get you new results and new outcomes. It's about one limit at a time breaking free. And one of the ways to do that is just to think differently, right? I mean, oftentimes we try new strategies. Think about, like, if you want to lose weight, how many more fucking diets could you try, or exercise programs could you buy, or new personal trainers could you try, or, you know, it's like we constantly go to strategy. And what I'm challenging you is to go to psychology, to visit a new psychological home, to create a new environment in your mind that will allow you to truly thrive. And to do it in a way where you're listening with no judgment of yourself, just curiosity. Yeah, no, I hear you, brain. Thank you. But what if I could? You're not mad at the brain. We're just teaching it a new way to work with us, to work for us. The brain thinks it's protecting us. Great. We'll help it do its job in a better way, in a new way that will actually yield outcomes that you want. And one of the things is this whole beginner's mind. It's like, what have you really tried? Have you tried everything? People are like, oh, I've already tried everything. You don't understand. I hear that a lot. Well, you don't understand, or I feel that a lot. Or you're not in my shoes. You don't understand. And the thing is you're right. I'm not. No one is. Which also means that you're the only one getting in your own way. And so if you would like to accept these limits, that's fine. Just know that that's a choice, right? And there are other ways that you could day by day grow and expand into a new limitless version of yourself. And one of these is to allow yourself to go into dream space. How often do you even allow yourself to do it? The thing is that most often we don't even allow ourselves to go to dream space because it actually feels too painful, because we don't even think that the dreams are possible. And so boom, there we are again, counting ourselves out before we're even in the game. A lot of people will say it's realism, right? Like, oh, I'm just being realistic, and, you know, and realism is a block, right? It's if it limits you. If the realism doesn't limit you, fine. But if it holds you back from living a life that you're craving to live, it's real then according to who? You. That's the only person it's real to, is you, because you're creating your own reality. You create your own limits. So it's really about feeding the brain. But what if you could? But what if you could? But what if you could? Focusing on the solutions instead of the problem. So I'm going to ask you another question that you can feed your brain. And the thing is when you begin with a beginner's mind, or you constantly allow yourself to experience life through a beginner's mind, one of the things that happens is you're able to ask yourself the same question over and over. And it's an empowering question that yields new neuro pathways that will allow you to have new outcomes, right? And so this new question to ask yourself over and over, where you could ask yourself a month from now, 3 months from now, that you'll get a different question. Even the first question that I asked you, you'll get a different question. Is one of these things is this concept of bold. And so it's kind of just, I'm going to ask you a question, and I just want you to write, again, before that window opens and the wind blows through of the yeah buts and the this is bullshit, capture what comes through. So take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. What is one thing that if you did that one thing, it's one bold thing. It's one bold thing. What is one bold thing that if you just did that one bold thing, it would change the trajectory of your life and move you one step closer to your soul's fulfillment? What is one bold thing? Something that's so bold that you don't even want to tell anyone about it. What's that one thing? And if you've answered this question before, you might find that a new answer is coming up. Write it down. What is one bold thing that if you did that one bold thing, you know that the trajectory of your life would be different? as part of this challenge as we move forward, I'd really like to challenge you to focus on one thing at a time. If you focus on the mountain ahead of you instead of taking one step and one step and one step, you're going to hit overwhelm, and overwhelm creates inaction, and that's paralyzing, and then you'll stop, and then it'll be like, see, this didn't work. And in fact, the yeah, but and the chatter and all that crap of the mind, that's all ego. The ego wants to be right. And so what dream space allows us to do is create a new story for the ego, so that the ego gets to be on board with being right about the good shit, not the bad shit, right? And so we're retraining and taming the mind and the ego. And one of the ways to do that is one thing at a time. So one of the questions is go back and think about, and maybe look at your list and just think about the question I just asked you about the limitations and the limitless world and this whole concept of being bold. When I asked you each of those questions, what was the very first thing that came up, right? So when I asked you what this world would look like with complete abundance of time and resource and energy and health and money, it's how would you spend your time? And what was the very first thing that came up? Write that down. What was the very first thing, or circle it or whatever? What was the very first thing that came up? The answers to who you are at the fiber of your being, at the core essence of your soul, the answers are in these limitless questions, these questions that challenge you to really allow yourself to step into dream space. So let me give you an example. Because sometimes it helps to chunk it down and focus on one thing at a time and to chunk it down even smaller and smaller. So when I did this exercise, which every single time I do any workshop, I am always my own guinea pig. So I always practice what I preach, and as a result, I get incredible up levels. And then I come into these things with so much energy because I know exactly what you could potentially get out of this if you playful out, because I've watched myself through it. So I watched myself through this, and it's interesting, before that window opens up, before that mind chatter happens, what flew through my window is travel and adventure, but travel came first. And so on a bigger picture, I can look at it and go, okay, what trips could I plan, right? If I want to travel, what trips can I plan? So I've already started looking at, Australia and Italy and Scotland and Ireland, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but Maldives or Maldives or something, but it's a place where it's fucking beautiful and magical, and you have a hut on top of the ocean, and fuck yes, that's like a 10 on my hell yes scale, right? Like from a 1 being hell no and a 10 being hell yes, that's like a 10, that's like an 11 on my hell yes. So I know that I'm meant to go to these places and explore these things, and I don't even know why, but I know because my dream space is showing me these things that these are places I need to go. And so the thing is how you play with slowly taking dream space and turning it into a reality is one tiny little chunk at a time. So how do I do that, right? Well, I asked myself, what was it about travel that I'm trying to experience and feel that I could actually take into my day-to-day? And one of those things that came up was adventure. I mean, I love new experiences and I love adventure, right? And so then I was like, well, how can I create that in my life today? So I actually, and this is about taking action. This is about doing it, right? Taking dream space and turning it into action. So then I walked myself through this process, and I was like, okay, so how can I create more adventure and this experience that I'm desiring to feel through travel? How can I create that in my day-to-day while I'm also planning and scheduling and booking these trips that I'm going to go on? And when I did that, what came through was one of my friends had reached out who has I believe he's a three-year-old son, and he has him for the weekend, and he was like, hey, let's go do something fun. I've got Noah. And I was like, cool. So then I reached out to my brother, and he has a 4-year-old son who's my nephew, and so then it just became this thing where it was like, let's go do something fun. So we're going to unleash our inner children this weekend. We're going to go play at an indoor trampoline park. Honestly, if the kids weren't there, we would still do this. This is the feel-good, dreamy ignition, life ignition, mine. This is mine. I'm giving you an insight to my soul. And so it's like, cool. So now on Saturday, that's what I'm going to spend my day doing. We're going to do an indoor trampoline park. I'm going to spend time hanging out with some kids and my brother and one of my good friends. And we're going to just immerse ourselves in some fun and some play. And then we're going to do this like kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese. And, it's, you know, there's like games for kids and whatever, but we always have fun as adults. We go there by ourselves sometimes without kids. And we're just going to go be kids for the day and play and have fun and connect. And so for me, that's my thing, right? And so I'd really like to challenge you this formula of what was that very first thing that came through? And there's going to be a big picture element to it, and there's going to be a day-to-day element. And make sure you're feeding both, always feeding both. One is on a big picture and doing it. So scheduling it, doing it, and saying, okay, so if it's travel, it's great. Where do you want to go? What's the first place? How can you book that? What are you doing? And just play. What if you could? But what if you could? But what if you could? How might you be able to make that happen? And then, you know, on a day-to-day, like, why is it that, like, what is it about travel, or what is it about your thing that makes you really want to, like, what are you trying to feel or experience or be more of with that thing? So for travel, for me, it's adventure. Well, how do I create adventure in my day-to-day? And then just sit back and enjoy. Like, when you do it and you put it into action, enjoy it, celebrate it, experience it. So I have a challenge for you for the next 30 days. One is to take some time, and I'll send you these questions, right? And just write out all of your questions. And every single morning, I'll send you this challenge too, so you don't have to write this down. But you can if you want to. Every single morning, read your answers at least 3 times. Read your dream space at least 3 times. What was coming up in this limitless world? What was coming up? Read it. Ignore the how, ignore whatever, just read it. All you're doing is reading these dreams, this dream creation. You know, I want this, I want that, it would look like this, I would do this, I would go here, I would blah, 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 blah. Just read it. Add to it, read it every single day, every morning, 3 times, 30 days. At night, every single night for the next 30 days, before you go to bed, play with dream time. And the way to do that is, as you turn off the lights and you're going to bed, just start playing the movie of your dreams. So maybe you read it once and then you lay in bed and you just play with it. And it's really kind of going, and then what, and then what, and then what, and then what, and it's creating a movie in your brain. Pay attention at the beginning for your brain, how quickly your brain takes you off your path. This is about feeding your mind, taming your brain. Once the brain, your soul is already on board, ladies and gentlemen, like, it's already on board. It's the mind that's the one that fucks you. And so we're trying to get the brain to be on your team, on Team Dream Team, right? And so one of the ways to do that is just to spend more time in this dream space. And again, if your brain is already going, this is stupid, this won't work, why did I say, you know, it's like you of all people could really benefit from some dream time. And what is the worst thing that could happen if you try it? Just asking you to try it for 30 days. So dream time before bed, it's and then what, and then what. You're playing a movie over and over. And I encourage you, you know, have fun with this. Daydream during, you know, just daydream all day, right? It's just constantly creating, and then what would you do? And then what you do? You're creating your own movie. You're creating your own scripting for your life, your different characters who you want to play in it. How do you show up? What do you look like? What are you doing? What are all the fucking awesomely epic, cool things that you're doing? What feeds your soul? What feels really good to you? And just add to it and add to it and just dream. Pay attention, like I said at the beginning, how sneaky resistance is, right? Like I said, for some of you, it's already telling you this is bullshit before you even try it. And it's like, what the fuck is that all about? You know, just don't give up on yourself before you even try something. So And one of the things I'll say is if you notice that pattern of kind of, oh, this is bullshit, this is stupid, where you're giving up on yourself before you're even trying something, I'd ask you, where else in life is this pattern showing up? Where are you giving up before you're even trying? I call it the why bother syndrome, right? It's, oh, it won't work, so I'm not going to put in effort anyways, right? And that's fine, but just know that's a choice. And as long as that is alive and well in you, you can't unleash epically limitless you. And so the very first step is just allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to dream and explore and create and imagine and expand. This is the first step. It's just the beginning of the journey. And, you know, it's like, stop needing to know the ending of the story before you even start the journey. The beauty of the journey and the magic of it really is an unknown. And if you knew the ending, it wouldn't even be any fun. You'd be bored, right? Like, if you really are a more whore, you're a more whore, right? You're a growth junkie, so there will always be more. You're a growth junkie. You're where the answers to your true soul's purpose, mission, and fulfillment are. It's in that daydream space. It's in your imagination. It's in your creativity. It's in your dreamland. And but what if I could? And what's the solution? And what if I, you know, but what if I might be able to? How might I be able to do that? And what do I want? And what do I want? And what do I want? And when you play in dream space, it's really kind of continually asking yourself, you know, what's a dream that's so big that it scares even me, right? So what's a dream that's so big that it even scares you? And then you take it a level bigger. You heighten it, right? What would make it even scarier, even bigger? Would it be like jets in first class? And then what? Even bigger. Just play like a kid, right? Just like your imagination, run wild and free and play this movie over and over and over and over in your mind for the next 30 days. What would it be like to have it all? Everything you crave, all of it. Project that movie on your screen right now for the next 30 days. Like, don't count yourself out before you're in it. All of it. Like, what? Okay, great. Oh, what if I could have it all? What might that look like? Just start playing with it. All of it. Like, I want everything I crave. What does that look like? And really write it down, capture it, read it, write it down, capture it, read it, read it, read it, write it down, capture it, read it. Cool. So, that was a 30-day challenge, and I'll send all of this out to you so that you'll have it. And if you would like some more of kind of this epically limitless you and unleashing it, if you don't already have your copy of Epic Sexy You, No Limits, No Rules, the #1 Amazon bestseller, you can go to Amazon and get it. You just type in Epic Sexy and it'll pop right up. Actually, it's Epic Sexy You, but you'll get it. It's on paperback and it's in Kindle. You could also go to the website, epicsexyu.com, and just kind of play around. You could sign up for all the Epic Sexy goodies to come to your email inbox. I'll be sending some of those to you later. And then there's actually a trip coming up in South Africa that's all about this. This trip is specifically for the more whores and the growth junkies. This is for the people who are already loving their life. They're already, you know, they're already loving, you already love your life, but you always know you're going to want more, and you're always going to grow until the fucking minute you take your last breath. And this is really about how do you up level. It's like you know what you want and you're going after it, but there's this tiny little block and you don't even know what it is. Because if you did, you're the powerhouse team that would already have, you know, blown it out of the water. You'd already be doing it. So this is there's something really spiritually expansive about the South Africa trip. So go ahead and check that out. I'm not sure if that's live on this site just yet. The designer was supposed to be putting that up today. So if it's not, I'll go ahead and send you the exclusive invite that was going out to just a select audience before it went public. And we're actually not, even if it goes on the site, we're actually not going to launch it public for until next week. We wanted to give people who we're part of the insider tribe, the exclusive invite. Okay, and then finally is questions. Feel free to email me, morgan@epicsexyu.com. So that's Morgan at EPICSEXYYOU.com. That's 2 Y's. So Morgan at epicsexyu.com. And let me see, I'll have to, let me see if I can open up. I'll stay on and try to take some phone calls. I don't really know if I know how to do that. So let me see if I know how to do that. If not, if you have questions from this call specifically or anything, it's Morgan at epicsexyu.com. Also, we have some additional retreats that are coming up. One is going to be Sexy Camp. So we're doing Sexy Camp, and then we're doing which is going to be in the Dominican Republic. We're doing South Africa, which is Epically Limitless You. That's a very, very adventure, spiritual, expansive journey. The Sexy Camp is going to be all about the, sexy in motion and really the psychology and the physiology behind sexy. That's going to be in the DR on the beach. And then there's a book immersion retreat that's coming up as well, and that will be in Florida. So if you go to the website and you sign up for a retreat call, even if you sign up for the one that's on the South Africa page, we can actually talk about we can explore together which retreat is actually going to be the best fit for you. Okay, so let me see if I can figure out how to take questions. I know we're over, so if you had to jump off, that's cool. I'll send you the recording. This might be a learning curve on my epically limitless self. Let's learn how to do this. Nope. Okay. So anyways, if you have questions, sorry about that. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out, Morgan at epicsexyu.com. And I hope that you all have an awesome, awesome day, and I will learn how to take questions on the next call. So thank you, everyone. I hope you have an awesome day. Have a good one.